Hello and hi, one and all. Welcome to All4's e-learning program, a unique mode of education to enrich you in all concepts and all the subjects you need for various national entrance examination, respective entrance examinations. So today I am going to deal with the most important part of physics called electricity. Electricity comprises of three topics: electrostatics, electromagnetics and electrodynamics. Electrostatics deals with the various effects shown by a stationary charge, static charge, the force, field, potential and the various effects exhibited by a stationary charge. So before going to that, let us understand, have a keen perception regarding charge. So our topic today is charge and its basic properties. In earlier days, in earlier times, people assumed that charge is a fundamental property, like mass is a fundamental property of all matter, which is responsible for a special force called electric force. But later, as the research and development has proceeded, then later people understood that charge is the fundamental property of matter, which is responsible for the electric and magnetic effects exhibited by it. But finally, according to the modern concept, we all know all matter is made up of atoms, and atom comprises of protons and electrons. Protons and electrons are the fundamental particles which are the cause of the property called charge. So finally, charge is defined as charge is the intrinsic or the inherent property of the fundamental particles like electron and proton, right? Electron and proton, which show the effect on similar particles around it, within it. So it is the intrinsic property, inherent property of all the fundamental properties of fundamental particles called electron and proton. And these fundamental particles, which are embedded inside matter, which they produce charge to matter. So charge is an intrinsic property of all particles, fundamental particles called electrons and protons. Now, charge is measured in, charge is a physical quantity. It is measured in units of charge. Units of charge. The charge is measured in various units. In CGS system, it is measured in stat coulomb. It is measured in stat coulomb called ESU. In CGS system, it is measured in stat coulomb, ESU. In SA system, it is measured in coulombs. It's measured in coulombs, denoted as C. And there is another system called electromagnetic unit. This is CGS unit, this is SI unit. In electromagnetic units, charge is measured in amp coulomb. Amp coulomb. So it's denoted as AB capital C, amp coulomb. The conversion is like this. 1 coulomb is equivalent to 3 into 10 power 9 stat coulomb. 3 into 10 power 9 stat coulomb, and 1 amp coulomb is equal to 10 coulombs. It's equal to 10 coulombs. There is a bigger unit. The biggest unit of charge is Faraday. The biggest unit of charge is Faraday. 1 Faraday is 96,500 coulombs. Now, this is a very important point to be remembered. And previously, in recent times, there was a question asked in one of the national entrance examination. It was stated like this: the numerical value of 1 amp coulomb to 1 stat coulomb. The numerical value of 1 amp coulomb to stat coulomb is dash in CGS system. Now, this was a recent entrance examination question that was asked based on this point. So units of charge. CGS unit, stat coulomb, ESU. It is even named as Franklin. It's even named as Franklin. SI unit is coulombs, 1 coulomb. The conversion is 1 SI unit, coulomb is 3 in 10 power 9 stat coulombs. and electromagnetic unit, that is apcoulomb, that is represented as AB capital C, and 1 apcoulomb is equal to 10 coulombs. And the biggest unit of charge, that is Faraday, it is 96,500 coulombs, right? Later, you please move on with this problem. Later, finally, I'll explain the answer for that, right? Next, charge is a scalar. The basic properties of charge, the first one is charge is a scalar quantity. It's a scalar quantity. Charge has no direction. It's a scalar quantity, right? But it has two types. There are two types of charges: positive charge, negative charge. Based on the deficit of electrons and the excess of electrons, there are two types of charges: positive and negative. So it is plus Q and it's minus Q. It's a scalar quantity. Second basic property of charge is additive. Charge is additive. Now, what do I mean charge is additive? In a system, if there are n number of charges, let's say charges Q1, Q2, Q3 like this, there are n number of charges Qn. The total charge of the system, is given as algebraic sum of all the charges. It is the algebraic sum of all the charges in the system there. Charges are added as like real numbers. They are added like real numbers, same as like mass. But mass is always positive, but charge can be negative. So the basic difference is charges are of two types, positive and negative. Mass is only positive. So while adding the charge, you have to include the respective sign of the charge. So you have to add the respective sign. That is, it is plus or minus Q1 plus or minus Q2 plus or minus Q3 ... plus or minus Q. So charge is added just algebraically like this with the respective sign that is included to it. So the second fundamental property is charge is additive. And the third fundamental property of charge, the third basic point of charge is charge is always conserved. Charge is always conserved. Now, what do I mean charge being conserved? Conservation. In an isolated system, what do I mean isolated system? A boundary enclosed in where no particle can go out of the boundary, nor no particle can come from the other external thing into the boundary. Within an isolated system, the total sum of the charge is always a constant. In an isolated system, suppose there are a number of charges arranged in it, then due to some interaction, there may be some redistribution or rearrangement of charge, but the total charge always remains constant. What does it imply? It implies charge when is either transferred from one body to other body. So one body loses charge and other body gains charge, but the total charge always remains constant. Actually, the total charge in the universe is constant. Even if you consider a enclosed boundary in an isolated system, even in that system, the total charge is always conserved, right? Now, there is a very important point to note. Charge is conserved. You can neither create charge nor you can destroy charge, but you can transfer charge from one body to another body. You can transfer charge, but you can neither create it nor destroy it. But there is an important point. You cannot create charge, but you can create charged particles, because in nature there are some reactions where a neutral particle now splits into give you charged particles. Example, a neutron gives you an electron and a proton. A neutron splits to an electron and a proton. There is another example where pair production, a gamma ray when moved very near or closer to a heavily charged nucleus, it splits into pair of particle and antiparticle, positive and negative, a positron and an electron. So there are reactions in the universe where charged particles are produced, but the products produced have a total net charge again 0. You see, The initially no neutral net charge is 0. Electron minus 1, proton plus 1, the net charge is again 0. So in any reaction taking place in the universe, whether it is chemical reaction, mechanical, astronomical, any reaction, nuclear reaction taking place, the net charge is always conserved. So charge can neither be created nor destroyed, but charge can be transferred. So the next property is charge is transferable. Charge is transferable. Charge is transferred. Charge transferred from one body to other body. How transfer of charge takes place? We know, according to the modern concept, all matter is made up of atoms. Atom comprises of neutrons, protons and electrons. And we know electrons negatively charged, protons positively charged. These protons are imprisoned inside the nucleus, embedded inside the nucleus along with neutrons, with the strongest force in the universe called nuclear force. So they cannot move from one atom to another atom, or one body to another body. But the electrons revolving round the nucleus in different various orbits, they can migrate from one atom to another atom or from one body to another body. So charge is transferable only by means of electrons. So electrons can be transferred. So always charge produced on the body is due to transfer of electrons. Charge is always due to transfer of electrons. So whenever a body is charged in the sense it is either gaining electrons or it is losing electrons. When a body loses electrons migrate from one body to another body. A body losing electrons, a body that loses electrons loses negative charge, attains positive. So a body losing electrons, it is in deficit of electrons. It is dominant in positive. It is deficit of negative, dominant in positive. So it shows positive charge. Another body gaining electrons, now it is dominant in electron, dominant in negative charge. So when compared to positive, negative is more. So it acts as a negative charge. So therefore charge is transferable. Only electrons can be transferred from one body to another body. So charge on any body is due to transfer of electrons. Here you have to note another important point. Charge is transferred by electrons, but electrons do possess mass. So when electrons are transferred, even mass is also transferred. So whenever charging takes place, electrons are transferred, even mass is also transferred. So positive charge is losing electrons. That is, it is losing mass. So its mass decreases. So its mass is less than the initial before being charged. Similarly, a negative charge which gains electrons, it gains mass, its mass increases. Now, based on this, in recent examination, there was a question asked based on this, given like this. So, second one, two identical spheres, A and B. Two spheres, identical spheres, A and B, right? Same, identical size. Now electrons, some n number of electrons are transferred from one body to another body. After being charged, now the mass of A is Ma and mass of B is Mb. Now he's asking you to compare Ma and Mb. So from A to B the electrons are transferred, or rather A to B electrons are moving, migrated. Then after being charged, the mass of A is Ma and mass of B is Mb. Then he is asking an inequality between them. It was a question asked in recent examination. So charge is transferable. The basic properties of charge, what does a charge exhibit? First of all, charge is a scalar quantity. It has only magnitude, no direction. But there are two types of charges. Unlike mass is only of one type, that is positive. But charges are of two types, positive as well as negative. Right? There are two types of charges. Now, charge is a scalar. Charge being a scalar, when there are number of charges, how do you add? Charge is additive. When there are n number of charges, the total charge is the algebraic sum of all the charges in the system. But while adding, you have to take the respective sign. You have to consider the respective sign of the charge. If it is a positive charge, take plus. If it is a negative charge, take minus. So Considering the respective signs, the total charge is the algebraic sum. So it's plus or minus q1 plus or minus q2 plus dot dot plus or minus q. The total charge of the system. Next, coming to the third one, charge is conserved. In an isolated system, if I consider a boundary within which no particle can go outside nor a particle enter inside, the total charge in an isolated system is always a constant. You can neither create charge nor you can destroy charge, but it is transferable. Charge is transferable. Charge cannot be created, but charged particles can be created. This is an important point to be noted. Particles can be created. As I've given an example, a neutron splitting to an electron and a proton, or in pair production, a gamma ray producing a particle and an antiparticle, electron and positron. So charge cannot be created. Charged particles can be created. The next one is charge is transferable. So charge can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be transferred. So charge is transferred. Now what you can transfer? You can transfer only electrons. So the electrons can be, charge on any body is due to transfer of electrons. So whenever when a body is rubbed with another body, one body loses electrons, other body gains. The body losing electrons loses negative charge, which is dominant in positive, attains positive charge. The body gaining electrons is dominant in negative charge, so it shows negative. So this is plus q and this is minus q. Charge, electrons, when electrons are transferred, electrons do possess mass, even mass is also transferred. So body losing electrons loses mass, its mass decreases, gaining electrons, mass increases. Next, fifth point, charge is always associated with mass. There can never exist charge without mass, but there can be mass without net charge. Charge is always associated with mass. It is actually, it is a proof, it is a significant proof that a charged particles is a body possessing charge is a significant proof that it has got mass. Charge is always associated with mass. So suppose if there is a particle with charge, let us say q, and its mass is m, then the ratio of these two fundamental properties of matter, this is called specific charge. It's called specific charge, q by m, right? So specific charge is the ratio of charge of the body, charge of the particle to the mass of the particle. So it's measured in Coulomb per kg or ESU by gram. Specific charge. It is the ratio of the two basic fundamental properties possessed by matter, by the particle. So q by m, right? Wherever there is charge, there is mass. But mass may possess net charge or may not possess net charge. And then next most important, charge is invariant. Charge is invariant. Now what do I mean charge is invariant? Let's suppose charge is accelerated to a high velocity. It is accelerated to high velocities where the velocity is comparable to the velocity of light. Then even under such conditions also the magnitude of the charge remains constant. So what does it mean? According to the relativistic property, charge is independent of its velocity. Charge does not depend on the velocity of the body. It is independent of the frame of reference in which it is considered. It doesn't change. But unlike mass changes with velocity. Mass, according to the theory of relativity, mass varies with velocity as m is m0 by root of 1 minus v square by c square. As the velocity of the body increases, as body velocity increases, velocity is more, this magnitude is more. So you are going to subtract more from it, remaining is less. So the mass will increase. According to the theory of relativity, velocity, mass. So putting this point in this property, specific charge of a body, specific charge, it's q by m. Whenever a charged particle is accelerated to high velocities, then charge does not change, but mass increases, implies specific charge decreases. There was a beautiful question asked based on this in one of the entrance examinations, national entrance examination. It was asked like this: specific charge of beta particles as compared to stationary electrons is dash. So specific charge of, third question, specific charge of beta particles as compared to the stationary electron is, beta particles travel with velocity comparable to velocity of light. So when the velocity increases, right, when velocity is more, denominator decreases, mass increases. Mass is more, specific charge decreases. So based on this, there was a question that is asked there, right? Charge is invariant. And finally, the most important property of charge is, quantization. Charge is quantized. Now, what do I mean quantization of charge? Charge is not continuous. It exists in discrete packets. Charge, whenever charge is given to a body. So I was telling you, charge on a body is due to transfer of electrons. So charge obtained by the body, Q, it depends on the number of electrons that is transferred. So charge on a body is always an integral multiple of charge of electron. So the basic unit of charge is charge of electron. Charge of electron 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. So charge on any body is quantized. There cannot be a charge with a decimal of electron, 0.5 of an electron or 1.5 of an electron. It does not exist. It is an integral multiple of charge. So integral multiple of charge of electron, Q is Ne. Quantization of charge. Now, this was proved by Mr. Millikan, a great scientist. By its Millikan oil drop experiment, he has proved that charge on any body is always in integral multiple of the charge of electron. So Q is equal to Ne. Now, based on this, Q is equal to Ne. Now we can now Q is equal to Ne. Based on this, we can add up some beautiful number of questions. One electron charge is 1.6 into 1.60 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. So to produce a charge of 1 coulomb, how many number of electrons are required? So charge is 1 coulomb. So N into E, it's 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So N is equal to 1 by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. This is 6.25 into 10 power 18 electrons. To produce a charge of 1 coulomb of charge on a body, 6.25 and 10 power 18 electrons are to be migrated. Rather, to produce a positive charge, those many electrons are to be removed. To get a negative charge, those many electrons are to be added. So 1 coulomb is equivalent to this. Now, before this, I was explaining the biggest unit of charge was Faraday. 1 Faraday. I said 1 Faraday is equivalent to 96500 coulombs, 96,500 coulombs. If you calculate the number of electrons that are required for this much amount of charge, to produce 96,500 coulombs of charge, the number of electrons required, N, number of electrons that are required, N, is equal to, from this formula, N is equal to Q by E. It's 96,500 by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. And to your amazement, you will get a beautiful number called 6.023 into 10 power 23. This is Avogadro number. Avogadro number of electrons constitute 1 Faraday of charge, 96,500 coulombs. A very beautiful question. The number of electrons required, this is Avogadro number, Na. It's 6.02 then 10 power 23 electrons. These many electrons constitute a charge, the biggest unit of charge, called 96,500 coulombs. Now, coming to the questions which I have asked you, I said one of the entrance examination has given a question based like 1 amp coulomb by 1 stat coulomb, the numerical value of the ratio of electromagnetic unit to electrostatic unit. This is an electromagnetic unit of charge, and this is an electrostatic unit of charge. The ratio of this is, I said amp coulomb is 10 coulombs and stat coulomb is 1 by 3 into 10 power 9 coulombs. If I take this up, this is equivalent to 3 into 10 power 10. It is the value of velocity of light in CGS system. So the numerical value of 1 ap coulomb to 1 stat coulomb is equal to velocity of light. A beautiful question asked based on units. And second one, so I said there are two identical spheres where the charge is transferred from A to B. Some electrons are transferred from A to B. A loses electrons, so it is losing mass, so its mass decreases. So ma less than mp. And specific charge of beta particles travel with a velocity comparable to the velocity of light. As velocity increases, mass increases, specific charge decreases. So for beta particles, specific charge is less than that of electrons. Sorry, this is the thing. So these are the basic fundamental properties of charge. The charge exhibits various things. Let us take up some numericals based on this. Your NCERT textbook speaks about a beautiful question like this. A body is charged at a rate of, a body is removed from the body, electrons are removed at a rate of 10 power 9 electrons per second. From a body, electrons are removed at a rate of 10 power 9 electrons per second. Find the time required to produce a charge of 1 nanocoulomb. This was a question, right? So to produce a charge of 1 nanocoulomb, how much time is required? You know, in 1 second, I am removing 10 power 9 electrons. In the sense, I am producing a charge of 10 power 9 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. 10 power ne, q is equal to ne. So the charge that is being produced, q is equal to 10 power 9, number of electrons into charge of electron, 1.6 and 10 power minus 19. Now to produce a charge of 1 nanocoulomb, the time required to produce nano, 10 power minus 9 coulomb. So ratio, so T is equal to, when this goes up, it's 10 power minus 18 by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. In fact, 10 power 19 minus 18 by 1.6, it's 10 by 1.6 equivalent to 6.25 seconds. A very beautiful question asked in your NCERT textbook. 6.25 questions. Similarly, there is another question that was given like this. Find the amount of charge constituted by protons, only protons in 1 cup of water. A very beautiful question. In 1 cup of water, find the positive charge constituted by only protons. 1 cup of water, actually, he has assumed it to be a quarter liter, 1/4 liter. This is 250 grams. So in 250 grams of water, how much positive charge will exist? Positive charge constituted by protons due to 1 cup of water. Now, water H2O, you know, the molecular weight of water, so it's 2 hydrogen 1 plus small atomic weight of this thing is 16, it's 18 grams. You know, according to Avogadro law, 1 mole of a substance possesses Avogadro number of atoms, so the Avogadro number of molecules, and 1 mole of a substance weighs molecular weight. So 18 grams of water possess Avogadro number 6 into 10 power 23 molecules of water. Now 18 grams possess 6 into 10 power 23 molecules of water. Now he has given 250 grams. So first let us find out the number of water molecules that are present. So the total number of water molecules that are present in 250 grams. 18 grams possess 6 into 10 power 23 atoms. 250 grams, n number of molecules. So n is equal to 250 into 6 into 10 power 23 by 18. So these are the number of atoms, number of molecules, water molecules. And you know, in water molecule, there are 2 hydrogen atoms. There are 2 hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom. You know, hydrogen atom contains 1 electron, 1 proton. So in each molecule of water, so hydrogen contain 1 proton each. 2 atoms, there are 2 protons, plus oxygen, atom number is 8. So atom number 8, there are 8 protons. So one molecule of water possesses 10 protons. Each molecule possesses 10 protons. So therefore, these many number of molecules, the total number of protons that are present in, the number of protons present in 1 cup of water is, so the total number of water molecules into, in each molecule there are 10 protons. So therefore into 10. So this is 250 into 6 into 10 power 23 by 18 into 10. These are the number of protons. Now finally he is asking you to find the total charge, the total positive charge by protons. You know, charge is the integral number of n into e. So the number of protons into charge of each proton. So it is 250 into 6 into 10 power 23 into 10 by 18 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. This is the total charge. So the total positive charge that is contained in 1 cup of water, calculating this. So this was a question that is asked. This is the question that is asked in your NCERT book. So this way, please do some exercise based on this charge and its basic properties. The answer is 1.34 into 10 power 7 coulombs. This is the charge possessed by 1 cup of water. Same amount of negative charge even is contained in 1 cup of water due to electrons. This is due to protons, and similar amount of charge for electrons. Okay. Thank you very much.